But I'm reading the question for you. The following balances were extracted from the books of Doji, a trader, on 30th September 2010. The year ends for Doji on 30th September 2010. So year is ending on 30th September. It's not like that all of the business should end that year on 31st December. Whenever your business is started, after 12 months, the business ends. And the business is not end, basically the financial year ends after 12 months. Now if the Doji's financial year is ending on 30th September, that after 30th September there comes 1st October. So basically the business was started on 1st October, and now if the current year is ending in 2010, it must have been started on October 2009. Okay, 2009 was at the start of the year. Now let me read the values for you. We have ordinary goods purchased, that is purchases. Then we have carriage inwards. As you may be aware, beta, there are two types of carriages. One is carriage inward and one is carriage outward. Carriage is basically transportation cost. Inward means the goods are coming into the business. So the transportation that we are paying for bringing in goods to our business are known as carriage inwards, and carriage outward means the goods that we are selling to our customer, the goods that are going out of the business for which the transportation cost is there. This is known as carriage outward. Then we have a revenue, that is sales. Sales is basically revenue. Then we have return inward, also known as sales return. We have non-current assets, which are motor vehicle and office equipment. Then salaries, rent, these are all expenses. Salary, rent and rates. Rates are basically local taxes. Then we have discount received. Beta, all of the receives are income for the business. Whether it is rent received, commission received, discount received, these are all income for the business. Sundry expenses, these are miscellaneous expenses for maybe tea, coffee, and maybe cleaning, and these are all sundry expenses. General expenses, we can also call them. Then we have advertising, it is also expense. Then we have trade payables, previously known as creditors, these are our suppliers. Then we have trade receivable, debtor, these are our customers. Then provision for doubtful debt, we'll be discussing about this afterwards, later part of the question. Then we have inventory. Beta, basically there are two types of inventory. One is opening inventory and one is closing inventory. Now whatever inventory is coming in this list, this is basically opening inventory, and whatever inventory is coming in this additional information, this is basically closing inventory. There are two types of inventory, one is opening, one is closing. How can we remember that? Beta, inventory that is coming in the list is opening inventory, and inventory that is coming in the notes is basically a closing inventory. Then first is always opening inventory, and 30th is always closing inventory. Then 2009 is basically opening inventory and 2010 is closing inventory. So I gave you three hints to identify which is opening and which is closing. Inventory that is coming in the list is opening, and in additional information it is always closing. First is for opening and 30th is for closing. 2009, that is previous year, is for opening, and 2010 current year is for closing. Then we have a bank overdraft. Bank overdraft is basically a liability that we have drawn out more money from the bank that we actually have in the bank. So therefore we now are supposed to return this money to our bank. This is a liability. Then we have capital. The capital that is given in the question is always opening capital. Closing capital is never given in the question. We just need to find it out. Closing capital. Then we have drawing. Now let us read some of the additional information that we have in the question. During the year, Doji took goods costing $12.50 for own use. No entries have been made in the books. We have taken out goods for own use. What does this mean? For example, we have a mobile shop and we took out one mobile phone, maybe iPhone 11 Pro, for our own use, personal use. The entry that we'll be making is drawing would be debited and purchase account would be credited. Now why is drawing being debited? Because drawing reduces our capital. Whenever there is a drawing, it will be reducing our capital. So if the nature of capital is credit, whatever reduces our capital would always come on the debit side. Okay, so therefore drawing would be debited, and instead of crediting cash or bank, we'll be crediting purchase. Why? Because when we bought goods for business use, we debited the purchase, and now if we are taking out goods for our personal use, our purchase account would be credited. Now there is the last adjustment for bad and doubtful debt, which is very important. Trade receivable debtors include a debt of 4250, which is considered irrecoverable. Irrecoverable, my dear students, is a newer name for bad debt. So this is basically bad debt for the business, and it is to be written off. It is to be written off means bad debt has not yet been written off. We are supposed to write off this bad debt. So the entry would be bad debt account would be debited. Why is bad debt account being debited? Because bad debt is an expense for the business, and the nature for expense is always debit. Bad debt would be debited, and trade receivable account would be credited. Why is trade receivable being credited? Because trade receivable is basically an current asset for the business, and asset decreases by way of credit. So bad debt should be debited and trade receivable will be credited, and after that we need to apply a percentage of 4% for provision for doubtful debt. We'll be discussing about this in the later part of the question. Now basically beta, there are two requirements. We need to make an income statement which was known as trading and profit and loss account previously, but the newer name is income statement. We need to make income statement for 30 September 2010, and we need to make a balance sheet. Balance sheet again is an older name. The newer name that we'll be using in an examination question is statement of financial position. Now let us see how can we make both of these statements, and you must have this question for your reference on a separate device so that you can take a reference from it. If you have a book that contains this question, you must take it out now. Okay, first of all beta, we'll be starting with the name of the owner, and owner is Doji in this question. We'll be putting a heading income statement for the year ended 30th September 2010. Now basically these headings are already put in an examination question. You do not need to enter it again. But if the heading is not there, you must put it for the examination. First of all, we'll be making the format. Now we'll be solving it directly. First of all, we have a revenue, that is sales. As you can see in the question, we have a revenue worth 155,000, means we have sold goods for 155,000. And we'll be deducting one thing from the revenue, that is return inward. In this question, return inward is given by the name of sales return. Return inward is given by the name of sales return. Return inward is there beta, and return inward is basically 9500. If we deduct return inward from a sale figure, we'll be getting this figure. This is basically net sale figure, but the examiner does not put a label in front of it. Therefore, we are also not going to put a label. Then we have less cost of sales. Cost of sale means the goods that we have just sold for 145,500. How much does that cost the business? How much does cost Doji? So how would we need to find the cost of sale? The formula is first of all opening inventory. As you can see in the list, the opening inventory is there on 1st October 2009, that is 11,500. Then we have purchases. Purchases are there worth 70,000, but there is an adjustment in purchases, and it is in note number 2. Although note numbers are not given in the question. During the year, Doji took good for own use. If you are taking out good for own use, we just discussed previously that drawing would be debited and purchase account would be credited. So we'll be deducting purchase, and this is important to show here. Otherwise, you will lose 1 mark if you do not show this adjustment here. Okay, purchase would be credited. Then we have less return outward. So there are no return outwards in the question. If there was any, we must deduct this return outward from this. Beta, return inward is always deducted from sales. Similarly, return outward is deducted from purchases. Then we have a carriage inward. Carriage is basically transportation cost. Carriage inward is given in question, that is 3,000. Because carriage increases our cost, therefore it is being added in a cost of sales. Then we have less closing inventory. As you can see in first note, note 1, closing inventory is given on 30th September, that is 14,600. Now if I add all of these three and if I deduct closing inventory, I may get cost of sale figure. Why I am putting a negative in front of cost of sale? Because the formula says less cost of sales. Okay, we need to put cost of sale 2 times 1. Once when we are writing it as a heading cost of sale, and twice now it is the final answer, therefore I am writing it again cost of sale. If I deduct cost of sale from this net sale figure, the difference between the two would be basically a gross profit. Gross profit is basically a profit that is earned by buying and selling of goods. Okay. It is basically a trading profit, and after gross profit there are two adjustments need to be made. One is other income and another one is expenses. My dear students, in other income, everything that belongs to that is labeled as receive would be there, whether it is rent receive, commission receive or discount receive. Anything that is received would come in an other income figure, everything that is received. Okay, anything that is received would come in other income. So in this question, if you can see, there is a discount received 5600, and one more thing other than receive that would come in an examination, that can be decrease in provision for doubtful debt. We need to find out whether our provision for doubtful debt is increasing or it is decreasing. Now, how can we find out whether the provision is increasing or decreasing? Let us see. First of all, there is a trade receivables. But as you can see in the question, trade receivables is 23,000. Okay, trade receivable is basically 23,000. Now, first of all, I need to deduct bad debt from this figure. Our customers owe us 23,000, and out of that 23,000 we need to deduct bad debt. As you can see, bad debt is in note number 3. Trade receivables include a debt of 4250 which is considered irrecoverable. Means we are just considering the debt as irrecoverable. We have not yet bad debts are given amount to 4250. We are asking money from our debtors, that is 23,000, and out of that 23,000, 4250 has been turned as bad. If we deduct 4250 from trade receivables of 23,000, I'll be getting 18,750. Now, what does this 18,750 means? Does this means that this is the amount that my customers will pay to me? No. Actually, the customers won't pay you the total amount 18,750. Out of this 18,750, there is a percentage that is doubtful, and that percentage is given in the question as 4%. So now, if I apply 4% to 18,750, I would be getting a doubt of 750. Okay. If I apply 4% to 18,750, I will be getting percentage that is 750. Now, how can we see whether the provision is increasing or decreasing? How can we see whether the provision is increasing or decreasing? We can see the provision whether it is increasing or decreasing. As you can see, the provision is already given in the question in a trial balance, in a list of balances, that is $1,000. In the last year, my dear students, we had a doubt of 1,000, and that doubt has been reduced to 750. Now, what we need to do, we need to do the difference. We need to find the difference between the two. That the 1,000 doubt has been decreased as 750. Now, the difference between the two is 250. This means it is good for the business that our doubtful debt is decreased by 250. Now, if the doubtful debt is decreased, it would come, that would be recorded as an other income. Okay, and if the doubt would have been increased by, for example, 500, that increase in provision would come in an expense category rather than an other income. It would come in an expense category rather than other income. If I add both of these other incomes, now this becomes 5850. If I add gross profit with this other income figure, this will be 82,700. If I add gross profit and other income, this would be 82,700. This 82,700, basically it is Mr. Nobody. Okay, this is Mr. Nobody, and then I'll be deducting expenses from this in order to find profit for the year. I will be deducting expenses from this in order to find profit for the year. Okay, now what are the expenses? First of all, let us see all of the expenses. First of all, we have sales. First of all, we have salaries. I'll be doing expenses one by one. Salary is 23750. Then we have rent and rate. This is also an expense for the business. Sundry expenses are there. Then we have advertising. Then we have a bad debt. But a bad debt will always come in an expense, no matter the bad debt has already been written off, or no matter that the bad debt should need to be written off. Whether the bad debt has already been written off or whether the bad debt needs to be written off, in both of the cases, bad debt will always be recorded as an expense in the income statement. Okay. Now there can be one more scenario. Scenario can be that rather than examiner given the bad debt in the notes, the bad debt has been given in the list. If the bad debt is given in the list, then the bad debt has already been charged. So therefore the bad debt would not be deducted here when calculating provision for doubtful debt. Okay. But the bad debt will always come in an expense, no matter whether the bad debt has been written off or bad debt needs to be written off. If I add all of these expenses, the total for expenses is 55150. If I deduct this figure from this Mr. Nobody, I'll be getting the final answer, that is profit for the year. If the final answer, my dear students, is in positive, this means this is profit for the year. If the final answer is in negative, this means this is a loss for the year. So this is basically the format for income statement. You just need to remember this format in order to solve any question for income statement. Now after income statement, the another thing that we have is a statement of financial position. Okay, next we have a statement of financial position. First of all, we need to put the heading. First of all, the name of the owner, that is, okay. First of all, name of the owner, that is Doji. Then we'll be writing heading statement of financial position instead of balance sheet as at 30 September 2010. But a statement of financial position, dear students, is always made in 3 columns. Okay. As you may be aware that these 2 columns are not for debit credit, these are all for presentation. Debit and credit only come in a T account, or alternatively debit and credits come in a trial balance. Okay, in an income statement and in a statement of financial position, there are no column for debit and credit. Rather, these 2 columns are just for presentation. Similarly, we have 3 columns when we have provision for doubtful debt in the question. First of all, statement of financial position is based on an accounting equation. An accounting equation states that assets is equal to capital plus liability. First of all, we'll be starting with assets. Then we have non-current assets. As you can see in this question, there is a heading given by the name of non-current fixed asset. So which are the non-current asset in this question? We have motor vehicles and we have office equipment. There are 2 non-current assets. We need to write up all of the non-current assets and just add them. After non-current assets, we have current assets. In current assets, we have inventory. We'll be writing closing inventory and not the opening inventory here. Why? Because the statement of financial position is made at the end of the year. Therefore, all of the items that are coming in here would be related to closing. Then after inventory, we have trade receivables. But the trade receivables that we have is basically 23,000, but the problem here lies that out of this 23,000, 4250 has already been turned bad. That therefore we will not be including this in our trade receivable. Instead, we'll be writing the net figure for trade receivable, that is 18,750. Now you must remember that in a statement of financial position, trade receivables that come is of always after bad debt. Okay, in a statement of financial position, trade receivables that we have is always after bad debt. Now after bad debt, we'll be deducting provision for doubtful debt. After bad debt, what we'll be doing? We'll be deducting provision for doubtful debt. Now provision for doubtful debt is 750. What is it? 750. Now if we deduct 750 from this trade receivable figure, we'll be getting 18,000. Now this is the net trade receivable. So how could we get this 750? We just need to multiply 4% to this 18,750 figure. Means out of this 18,750, 4% of debts, that is 750, are doubtful. So the net figure for trade receivable that is surely to be received is 18,000. Now there are two justifications for this 750, one of which is easy. We just need to multiply 4% to this amount in order to get 750. Secondly, last year we had a provision of 1000 and in this year we have decreased this provision by 250. If I decrease 250 from this 1000 last year figure, I'll be getting 750. That is net figure. My dear students, in an income statement, we always write increase or decrease in provision for doubtful debt. But in a statement of financial position, we do not write increase or decrease. Instead, in a statement of financial position, we will be writing total provision till date. Okay? If someone asks me, sir, what is your income? In 1 month or maybe in 1 year, how much do you earn? I will say you must have a look at my income statement so as to find out how much I am earning in a period. And if someone is asking me, sir, how much cash do you have in the bank right now? So I'll be saying them to look at my balance sheet. Okay, statement of financial position contain figures at the end of the year, and an income statement contain figures that have been increased or decreased during the year. Then after beta current assets, if we add non-current and current, we'll be getting total assets. Now we are done with the one side of the accounting equation, that is asset side. After assets come capital and liabilities. After assets, the thing is that capital and liability. So in the capital section, first of all, in a sole trader in a scenario, we'll be starting with opening capital. Now, as you may be aware, the capital that is given in the trial balance or list of balances is always opening capital. We always need to find out the closing capital. So after opening capital, we'll be adding profit for the year. Okay. So the profit for the year is given in the question, and that is, how much is the profit for the year? Profit for the year is given, that is 27,550. Okay, profit for the year. We have already calculated profit by way of income statement. Why am I adding profit? Because profit always increases our capital. If instead there was a loss for the year, that loss would have been decreased because loss decreases our capital. Then after profit and loss, there is a drawing. As you may be aware, drawing reduces our capital. Therefore, I'll be deducting drawing. But there are two drawings basically. One is already given in the list of balances, and there is another drawing that is of goods. So I'll be adding up this as well. The entry that we made is drawing would be debited and purchase account would be credited. We have already credited the purchase. Now it's time to add up the drawing account. Now if I add both of these forms of drawing, whether it is on cash or whether it is on the form of goods, the total drawing is 13,250. So I'll be deducting this drawing in order to get the closing capital. Okay, so I do not need to put the label in front of this closing capital because it is an understood figure that this basically represents closing capital. Now assets are done, capital is done, and the last thing that is left is liability. Now there are two types of liability, one is non-current and one is current liability. But in this question there is no non-current liability. Non-current liability is basically loan liability, long-term loan. So loan is basically long-term liability unless the examiner says that it is a short-term loan or it is the loan that will be repaid in the next year. So in this question, the date is 30th September 2010. If there is a loan that says that we need to repay this loan in 30th September 2011, then therefore this loan is a current liability. And if the loan is repaid after 30th September 2011, that is October 11 or maybe next year 2012 or 13 and so on, so this is a non-current liability. So we do not have a non-current liability in this question, therefore we do not need to put a heading for non-current liability. We have a current liability with the name of trade payables. We have a trade payables which were previously known as creditors. Then we also have a bank overdraft in this question. So if I add both of these current liabilities, the final value that I'll be getting is total capital and liabilities. If I add capital and non-current and current liability, if I add all of these, I'll be getting total capital and liability. Now, as my dear students, as you can see, total assets always equates with total capital and liability. See, asset side should always equal capital and liability. Why? Because the accounting equation states that assets is equal to capital and liability. Assets are basically resources of the business. Now, how can we arrange these resources? There are basically two sources. One is capital, that the owner must invest the money into the business, and one is liability, that we can borrow from someone else. So I hope, my dear students, you understood the concepts behind income statement and statement of financial position with bad debt adjustments.